I knew exactly what I wanted to do from the moment I turned 6. I went to a museum for a school trip, and there I saw a painting that still moves me to this day. My name is Harry, and as soon as I told my family I wanted to be an artist, they forbade me. They threw away any blank piece of paper, pens, paintbrushes, paint, anything I could use to make art with. But the joke was on them, because it only made me more resourceful. I would find flowers and plants around the garden, anything that I could squeeze color out of. Fabric and discarded sheets around the house. I would pluck my own hair to make brushes, and I was able to create truly unique paintings. Why don't you just do what your parents want? You're just tempting fate, you know. One day, they're gonna label you the black sheep and you'll lose everything. Maya wasn't really concerned about my fate. More like she was concerned that if I lost everything, she'd lose out on a rich boyfriend as well. That was all my girlfriend cared about, my parents' money. I don't want to be a soulless lawyer, Maya. You know that. All my parents do is profit off of guilty millionaires, and I don't want to be a part of that. When I dropped out of law school, what Maya predicted happened. My family disowned me, and instead of being the sole heir of our firm, my parents stripped me of all my inheritance. I had to sell off everything I owned. I got myself a small apartment in a dodgy part of town. And my girlfriend, who didn't have a job, had no choice but to move in with me. There was no day that we didn't argue, mostly because she wanted me to go back to school and beg my parents to take me back. She wasn't alone in that idea. Every week, Lawrence would come by my apartment and try and convince me that I made the wrong decision. You're wasting your life here, bro. What? You're gonna spend your whole life making stupid little pictures that nobody cares about? Do you think you'll ever make anywhere close to what I'd be making as a senior partner at the firm? Not everything's about money, Lawrence. Like hell it isn't. I'm not even working yet, and I live in a penthouse in one of the most important buildings in the city. And you? You live here, in this dump, with a girlfriend who is constantly disappointed because you can't afford to get her anything nice. He's right. So tell me again how money is so useless compared to your precious little paintings. I don't care what any of you think. Fine. I just came here to warn you. Mom and Dad are expecting me to follow in their footsteps now. You're the reason I had to step up and be the lawyer. I gave up my dreams because you didn't fulfill your responsibilities as the eldest, and now I'm going to take what I deserve. As a condition for me taking over the firm, I will inherit everything. You will get nothing. Do whatever you want, Larry. Maya didn't speak to me for weeks, but she did promise she'd be at my first ever art exhibit. It was my first success since I'd left the house, and for a second, I thought Maya was finally seeing that I could also find my way in the world through my passion. Turned out, she was already planning her exit strategy. Ever since she heard that my brother was going to inherit everything, she'd been seeing him in secret. All those long trips to the salon or the grocery store were just meetings with Lawrence. I waited an hour for her to turn up on the night of my exhibition. She took the car and I had no money for an Uber. After a while, I decided she wasn't gonna show up. So I hauled my paintings by myself and walked towards the gallery. When I got there, the event had already packed up. It was my biggest opportunity yet, and I missed it for a girl. I was even panicking that something might have happened to her, only to find out that she had spent the entire evening at a club with my brother. I was counting on that show money to carry me through, but when I didn't get it, my landlord warned me that he was going to evict me for being late on my bills for 3 months. I had no choice but to put up a stall on the sidewalk and sell my stuff again. I hawked my paintings in the park, on the sidewalk, at the subway. Nobody bought them. One day, I saw Maya and Lawrence walking downtown holding hands. They saw me too, and it gave them great pleasure to see me struggling. I told you you'd starve being an artist. You never listen. Now look at you. You're basically homeless. I made the right choice. I'm glad I'm no longer with the lesser brother. Lawrence beamed proudly at that. You can't blame her for wanting to be with a successful man instead of a street-side wannabe artist. I mean, look over there. That Lambo? That's my car. And you probably don't even have enough money to ride the subway. I couldn't come up with a witty remark, but the universe saved me at that very moment, because a thief came running down the street. Behind him, a beautiful girl was struggling to keep up. "Help! Somebody stop him! He took my purse!" My brother, who was taller and larger than me, could have easily stopped the guy. All he had to do was stand there. Instead, he stepped out of the thief's way. If nobody else was going to, I had to do it. So, without any regard for my own safety, I took one of my paintings and used it like a net on the thief. His head went straight through, ripping the painting. But I caught him. I tied him up with shoelaces and I handed the purse back to the lady. "Thank you, but your painting, it's all ruined." That was my lucky day, because Nina, the girl I helped, was an influential art gallerist. To thank me, she immediately took all my paintings and put them in a show. The story reached the news and a local channel even did a reenactment of the scene, in which they insisted I starred in. My paintings were prominently featured in the news segment, and it sparked a huge interest. Now, not only did I have a place at Nina's gallery, people were going there in droves just to look at my work. My paintings sold out in days. I had to paint every single day just to keep up with the demands. And even then, there was a year-long waiting list for my work. I was an overnight superstar. And now my landlord was desperate for me to stay at his building. "I wasn't gonna throw you out anyway. And now the buzz around you is gonna drive my property value through the roof." There were girls just hanging out at the cafe down the block in the supermarket I go to, just hoping to run into me. It was ridiculous. Every day, high-profile women would email and call me. There were even billionaires who would fly me out to their mansions just to paint their portraits. And then there was Candace. Candace was a middle-aged woman who made her fortune selling used cars. And she paid me $100,000 just to be her arm candy at a charity event. But while I was there, surrounded by these uber-rich ladies who wanted a piece of me, I realized that I'd fallen in love with someone else. All I could think about that evening was Nina. And when, surprise, I found out that she was at that event too, I ran up to her, went down on one knee, and wrapped the only thing I had from my old life on her finger. A 100-year-old necklace from my great-grandfather. Nina said yes, and everyone applauded. Even Candace got a little teary-eyed. When the applause died down, that was when I saw my brother again. He and his girlfriend came over to see what the commotion was all about, and they were as shocked as I was to see them there. "Oh, it's just you. What drama are you causing now? Spilled some drinks on these fine young ladies?" "No, actually, I didn't ask for your life story. Now, seeing as you're wearing a cheap suit, I imagine you're working this party." Typical starving artist. Anyway, go get me a drink and a bottle of your finest sparkling water for my girlfriend. Hurry, waiter. I don't have all day. I'm so glad I'm with your brother. How different my life would be if I chose you. That actually made me laugh. I agree, because if you chose me, you'd be hosting this gala. And since you chose Larry, you're just attending it. You do realize this whole event is in honor of Harry, right? Look around. His paintings are on all the walls. Suddenly, my brother changed his tone. "You know I've always been proud of you, don't you? And, since you're doing well, you think you could spot me some cash? I nicked the car on the way here, and it's only a rental. To be honest, the firm isn't doing too well." I hope you're a good lawyer, brother, 'cause now I'm coming for what I deserve. No, please, spare us. I don't even have money for a pedicure. Can you at least spare 100? I took out a cent from my pocket and dangled it in front of Nina's face, and then I threw it into a bush. She jumped after it like an eager dog. I hired a rival firm and took down my family's law firm. I guess Lawrence was right after all. things were so much easier with money. But it felt so much more satisfying that I earned that money myself, doing what I loved. I redesigned the old firm's building and I turned it into a school for the arts, just to rub it into my family's faces even more. On the day of the unveiling, I invited them all. And to Maya and Lawrence's envy, I kissed my new wife as we cut the ribbon, signaling the beginning of our new life.